My name is Anas Al-Tikriti. I'm the Chief Executive of the Cordoba Foundation. And before I start, I think that a thanks and gratitude to the place and the venue that we're at today, a fantastic place as always, St. Ethelburga's Center for Peace and Reconciliation. It's a great delight and a great pleasure to be part of this wonderful partnership and in hosting this unique conference in promotion of the ideal and the idea and the practice of peace. I'd also like to thank and acknowledge our supporting organizations, the Christian Muslim Forum, UNA Westminster, Muslim Council of Britain, Religions for Peace UK, Peace One Day, Al Khou'i Foundation, and the Quakers. Our thanks and gratitude to all of them. At times when everyone is expected to support acts of war or to support attacks and to support doing something, those who actually raise the banner for peace are seen to be quite courageous, quite brave, swimming against the tide, if you wish, but also maybe proposing a way out of this cycle of violence that seems to be never-ending. The Cordoba Foundation is extremely proud to be working on peace building, on conflict resolution. I myself have been involved and am involved with hostage negotiations, and often it's these values, these ideas that we constantly talk about and we constantly discuss and we constantly try to promote and to show as being the way out rather than an anomaly or an exception or maybe wishful thinking. It is the way out.
Welcome to everybody today. And as Anas referred to, it's really been quite a summer, hasn't it, of violence and conflict overseas, and also an increase in fear and hate crime and withdrawal, I think, here in London. And many of us have been wondering, well, how do we make peace? How do we pursue justice in such a situation? But then something pops up in the news amidst all the horrible images we've been seeing and the terrible news. Something pops up that makes you think again. And in the middle of the Northern Ireland Troubles many years ago, who would have thought that when Ian Paisley died, that Martin McGuinness would describe him as my friend? So relationships break, but they also mend. And they're most likely to mend if we want them to mend. And if we give peace a chance, and that's what we're doing here today, to give peace a chance. It's better to light a candle than to curse the darkness. That's exactly what the London Peace Network and this conference is seeking to do, and I applaud them for it and would encourage all those who care about peace to join in.
As some of our organisers have already mentioned, it can get quite depressing when you are switched on to the news all the time, 24/7. News on your iPads, TV, mobile phones, and you start to begin to wonder, has peace any chance in this world, in our current climate? But I think we have to believe in peace, we have to promote peace, and we have to work hard together and strive and stand, even if it's against all odds, because that is the hope for humanity. Firstly, without going into the details, it can be safely said that certain passages from scriptures of all three Abrahamic faiths support some kind of violence to achieve, or warfare to achieve certain goals under specific circumstances, notwithstanding their historical contexts, various alternative interpretations, and attached preconditions. Many of these passages, unfortunately, can be and are routinely misused to justify violence against people of other faiths and none. This is usually achieved by taking the passages out of their original context, or by misinterpretation, willful or otherwise, by the unqualified, and ignorance of the core values, universal principles, and overall spirit of the faith in question. The main problem today, the problems lie in the power and greed of wealthy nations, unfortunately closer to home. We have to speak out. We have to raise awareness against the corporations and some of the governments that make billions from violence and warfare through the manufacturing and sales of arms and weapons.
About 30 years ago, I went through a traumatic experience of my father being killed in the Brighton bomb. And straight away, I was already interested in peace. I'd already devoted my life in my early 20s to peace building, but I saw it as inner peace. But after the bomb went off, I decided to bring everything I could into peace building. And the journey was about giving up blame. It was about giving up making someone else wrong. It was about giving up the idea that there was an enemy in the world. Now, there was somebody who planted the bomb which killed my father, and so I had to work very hard to change that relationship. And after the peace process in Northern Ireland, I had an opportunity to meet the one man who'd been held responsible, Patrick McGee. And that first meeting was 3 hours long, and I went there very much wanting to see his humanity, very much wanting to understand and hear his story. And so within myself, I took responsibility for every emotion that I had so that I would not actually blame him. And I opened up my heart and listened. And within an hour and a half, Patrick McGee stopped justifying, stopped coming from a place of political rightness, and opened up and said he was disarmed by the fact that I gave him empathy. And I began to see his humanity. I saw the man behind the label of terrorist. I saw the man who at 12, 13, 14-year-olds was committed to non-violence. I saw what changed in him to decide to use violence. And I began to see his regret. We are struggling to separate the actions from the persons committing them. And to me, that's what it's about, because we can only change the world peacefully when we understand the roots of the violence.
Now, from my faith community, of course, the challenge for us is we're asked to see what love can do in the world. And I know that's not really common parlance, really, but it is something that's quite useful to just remind yourself of from time to time. Now, in the peace movement, and indeed in the faith-based peace movement, we're often portrayed as either hapless, naive, and idiots, and we're discredited, and we're very discredited at the moment as we are in a climate of going to war. Of war is the option, war is the only option, killing more people is the only option. We do know that. That's the common discourse, and we have to challenge that discourse. And we do know that we're up against power, authority, and control. And that's very hard for us. But that's how it is, folks. And my own faith community, of course, was born of that challenge to faith, authority, and control. So we've been at this a long time, but we're still learning. And of course, in one sense, we've been enormous failures. To say you've wanted peace for 350 years, over the last 350 years, well, we haven't done very well, have we? But actually, somebody's got to keep saying it. And it can't only be us. It has to be a lot more beyond that. Now, today's been about really involving or developing your toolkit, your peace toolkit. And if your only tool in your toolkit is a hammer, everything will look like a nail. If your only tool in your toolkit is a gun, everything will need to be shot. You've got to develop a really, really solid toolkit with lots of ideas about problem solving and lots of ideas about conflict. And we've heard all through the day today about the importance of listening, the many layers of listening, the many ways of listening, the many ways of addressing what people are saying to you. And of course, the importance of listening to all those people who are part of the problem. So I am talking about the people who you do disagree with and the people who disagree with you. That can mean for some very, very challenging conversations. But we have to engage. It's not a game. This is real. We need to know about international law. We need to know about principled impartiality and what that really means. Now, why do we need to do that? Because those apply to everyone, everywhere, not just to one set of people over and above another set of people. We are about a better world for the whole world, everyone in it. So we can make progress together. We definitely need to engage with the media. And great to see people having a go with Twitter today. Brilliant. We need to be better at making statements, better at being confident at what we've got to say. And of course, as we heard this morning, we need to light a candle and not simply curse the darkness. We do need to say, it is possible. Peace is really possible. And in order to have a bit of courage and a bit of hope, please remember the time frame we work under. It is not just about today. This is hundreds of years in perspective. My faith community has worked really hard to challenge the narrative, to understand, reframe the narrative of World War I. And we've done a thing called the White Feather Diaries, which is online, which is stories of conscientious objectors in World War I. It is not an assumption that when a nation state goes to war that everybody just says, oh yes, we must go and kill everyone. It has never been like that. Never. Don't believe it. Yes, read your history, but let it inform your behaviour now. Now, we have the most fantastic resource among us, not just the people here today, but the fact that we live in this enormously impressive city, London, multi-faith, multi-race, multi-everything. The world is here in some form or another. And of course, that may be the case across Britain. That's a great opportunity. We have things to say and things to learn. But we have to have an authentic peace story ourselves. So you really have to get out there and do it so that you do have real stories to tell. And it must be a story that isn't about, I went to a great conference, although you need your great conferences because you need to be encouraged, and you need to know that you're not the only mad person who says that peace is possible. You need to get together and sit with one another and work it all out, and then go out and do it. And of course, all our actions mean that we can make that little bit of difference, because we've got to live the world that we want to see. And thank you to St. Ethelburga's for giving us this little time together today, for enabling us to do this, because we do have a broken world that we are called to restore, using restorative justice in its very best sense. So I ask you all, and I'm partly on behalf of the organising committee, to take real courage from today. Tell your stories of positive change. We are in a time of war and leading to war, and we do need to constantly remind people of the real opportunity for peace that is among us. Thank you.
First, mostly wonderful, tremendous. I really feel that I've been in what in Sikh terms we call Sat Sangat, in a true congregation, and people who were really looking to get to know each other better, to know about other traditions, about other people's faith and other, but also about other people's political translation of that faith and all that sort of thing.
I'm John Woodhouse. I am the organiser of the Westminster Cathedral Interfaith Group, and I'm very involved in interfaith work. I think it's been very inspiring. I think it's been a lot of very interesting contributions. There's a great deal that we can do.
I'm William Ride. I work for the Gandhi Foundation and as an outreach worker, and the Gandhi Foundation aims to teach people about the continuing relevance of Mahatma Gandhi's ideas in the 21st century. I thought it was very inspiring, especially seeing so many young people from all types of different backgrounds looking for ways to work together and to promote the message that the world can actually live in peace and harmony.
It started at a very early age of understanding about the other and those around us and the differences, and it's not about all being equal, but understanding our differences, and whilst at the same time understanding our common denominators.
My name is Amina Taki, and I heard about this event online, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity not only to network with other people, but also to gain from other people's experiences and what they have gone through and what they have achieved, and hopefully to bring that not only back to our own communities, but also to our families, in our houses, in our universities, in our schools as well.
My name is Shuja Shafi. I'm the Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain, and I'm part of the organizer of this, but it's been a very good experience and a lovely program, and I think the only thing that we'd say is that each one of us who attended there wanted to hear more about what that particular topic was, and that means that it was really a required and essential thing.
Jade Russell, London Central Mosque at Regent's Park. I was really pleased to join the Peace Conference today. There was a lot of good work and a lot of good discussions made around coexistence, peace building, tolerance, understanding. It was just getting through the barriers of misunderstanding is the first important part of everyone getting along, and it's just evident that there still exists a lot of misunderstanding, but it's also evident that there's a lot of love and hope and people really, really willing to commit themselves to peace building, and that's so incredibly important. It's good to see a lot of people here doing that today.
My name's Ben, and I work for Marylebone Scriptural Reasoning out of West London Synagogue. My feeling about the event was that it was a really great step in the right direction for bringing together lots and lots of people from the interfaith community. I think the most important thing about the event is that it brought different connections together, which means that people can now go on and use those connections to build wonderful things in the London community. More events, bringing more people in to the world of interfaith and the world of peace.